So part of me thought that because there's no clear number one pick this year, that the Knicks might actually get the first pick. Like maybe the basketball gods would at least throw them that much of a bone. But this is just cruel. The 8th pick in this draft, that's rough, man. I'm not a Knicks fan. I don't know any Knicks fans, but I felt a little bad when I saw Mark Tatum pull out the Knicks at number 8. But this is the position they're in. So I guess the first thing to think about is, could they trade up? Yeah, potentially. I mean, I guess if they really, really love some prospect here, like maybe they just love the hell out of Denny Avdia. I mean, maybe. I think they got the Clippers pick, they got the Mavs picks. I don't know if anybody would really love the players the Knicks have, but yeah, potentially. I mean, the Knicks need shooting, but none of the perimeter guys going in the top whatever are great shooters right now, which is partly why this draft is not as beloved as other ones, I guess. But maybe they just love the hell out of somebody. Like, could you pair up the pick you've got now and the Clippers pick, I guess? Yeah, it's probably a possibility, but who knows? I think because there's so much uncertainty about just who the best players in this draft are, that I feel like it's tougher to gauge on who's really going to get picked where. But that's the first thing. Maybe they could move up if they really love somebody else in this draft. But besides that, I mean, you got to assume the guys that are going to be off the board for the Knicks, assuming they keep the 8th pick, are going to be Edwards, LaMelo, and probably Wiseman. I feel like anybody else is a possibility to drop kind of low, whether it's Vassell or Isaac Okoro or Avdia. We'll just call him Denny the rest of the way. Obi Toppin, Okongwu, Killian Hayes. The Knicks are probably going to end up with one of those dudes. And in terms of fit, well, first off, I don't even know if you should really worry about fit like that, but if you want to care about it, I mean, there's not much in the way of shooting for most of these guys. I mean, if you're looking for a knockdown shooter in this draft, you're going all the way down to Aaron Nesmith out of Vanderbilt, whose last name I finally learned how to actually pronounce. He's projected to be around number 10, which I guess is not ridiculous for the Knicks to select him at number 8. I mean, I've seen some mocks that have him going as high as number 6 to Atlanta. I've seen other ones where he drops to like 13th or so. I mean, right then and there, you can see how this draft is. I guess the thing with Nesmith is you're not going to draft him if you don't also have a plan to get a point guard. You know, between Dragic and Fred VanVleet and maybe a Chris Paul trade if you still want to do that, there are some options to get a point guard. And Nesmith would be a perfect fit there. The Knicks, of course, need shooting like crazy, so that's a possibility. If you wanted to get the ball handler, because they desperately need that, I mean, there's some options. Maybe it's Killian Hayes, although the idea with him seems to be that he's going to be a little bit of a project. There's Tyrese Halliburton, who I don't know if he's a point guard. He's a wing who can go off the dribble and make plays for other guys. He's a very good passer. But does he have the pull-up shooting? I mean, his jump shot is really awkward, even if his percentages are good. Does he have the burst off the dribble to beat guys and play in the pick and roll like that? I don't know. I feel like Killian Hayes has that a little bit more. And while I say that the consensus seems to be that Hayes might be a bit of a prospect, mainly just because of his age, he's been improving very quickly, is the word as well, so maybe. Now, I guess if I can mention Denny real quick, I don't think he's going to be available at number 8. I think he's kind of similar to Halliburton with his position and skill set, but I just don't think he's going to be there. I guess a couple of guys who could be a bit more of awkward fits. One would be Okongwu, who is a center pretty much. I mean, he's 6'9", which I guess is a little short for a 5, but I think that's fine, really. And, I mean, does he have power forward potential? Well, he's not really an offensive player. The other one would be Obi Toppin, who is really athletic and could be a great finisher around the basket. And the thing there, though, is the floor could be pretty cramped once again if you have him with RJ. And if you want to put Julius Randle or Mitchell Robinson on the floor, which I imagine they would be unless Obi is supposed to be a center, then that could be really tough. Now, there is another option when it comes to a point guard. There's Kyra Lewis out of Alabama, who seems to be a speed demon who can create offense for himself and others. He is projected to go a bit lower than other guys, though. Like, I've seen him, well, to be fair, I've seen him 10th. I've seen him in other mocks around like 15 or 16. I think the question with him is he really a point guard, or is he just a guy who's kind of forced to play point guard because of his size? Like, he's 6'3", he weighs 165 pounds, which is a little alarming, but he's 19. I guess that's normal enough. Yeah, I guess the other question with the Knicks going to pick a point guard, or are they going to go for more of a wing guy, besides the obvious of do they have a plan to get a point guard, is what do they view RJ Barrett as in the perfect setting? Do they view RJ as a primary ball handler? I don't think he is. I think as of right now, RJ is probably more of a secondary guy who can have some success in ISOs, and you get him kind of moving off the ball a little bit, and he can get some handoff plays and get some momentum going to the rim. I don't know if he's a guy who can just bring the ball up floor, beat guys off the dribble, play in the pick and roll, see the floor, and predict what the help is going to do and get it to the open guy. I just don't know if RJ is that dude. And I think it could be pretty essential for his development to find someone who can take that pressure off of his hands kind of right now. Because the thing is, like, I know this does feel early to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. I mean, we're about to go into RJ's second season, where his first season was riddled by the roster not being right for him at all. And call me crazy, but I would prefer to not have 2 seasons where RJ Barrett is not maximized. Because then you're going into his third year, and then you're talking about what's he going to get on his extension. But as I mentioned in the Thibodeau video, I think the part of the reason they hired Thibodeau is because they expect to get some win right now guys. That's just what I hope for. I mean, I assume you don't hire Tom Thibodeau to lead a rebuild. Of course, we should also talk about the idea of a creator helping out Mitchell Robinson. It's pretty obvious. Set you up for screens, alley-oops, that type of thing. I guess Cole Anthony could be a possibility here as well. He seems to be pretty low in most mock drafts I see compared to other players, you know. Like, again, like I mentioned that Neesmith is in like number 6 in some mock drafts that I see. Nobody has Cole Anthony in the top 10, so he's probably just not that guy. But even then, usually there's a couple guys who end up in the teens who end up being better than guys who are drafted in the top 10. I mean, you can go down basically every NBA draft ever, and there's usually 2 or 3 guys selected in the top 10 who end up being bad. So perhaps the Knicks could get wild and we'll criticize it in the moment, and then the guy's actually on the floor and it's like, oh, this actually ended up being a pretty good move. Can we mention some of the super defensive wings? I guess so. I mean, between Devin Vassell, Isaac Okoro, I don't know. I think the Knicks are really in need of shooting. But these guys, they do kind of project to maybe be shooters if they work on it. But again, if you're looking for a guy who can make shots, Neesmith is the guy. I mean, call me crazy, but just based on looking up guys' stuff, I feel like he could be an early candidate for Rookie of the Year. I think the Rookie of the Year for this class could end up being like kind of out of left field. So yeah, man, I think there's a lot of options. Maybe it's a creator like Denny or Halliburton or Killian Hayes or whoever. But then again, I think the Knicks have a plan to get a starting point guard. And if that's going to be the case, then it makes sense to go for a wing guy. But again, the kind of overarching thing of this is that a lot of the guys at the top of this draft can't shoot. And the Knicks need shooting.